Part 1. Medieval Europe. No toilet paper, just falling shit. You might think medieval Europe was all romance and mystery. Castles, knights, candlelight. But if you opened a window back then, it wasn't sunlight that poured in, it was shit. Most houses had no toilets. People used chamber pots at night, then dumped them out the window in the morning. Before tossing, they'd shout the French warning, Garde à l'eau! Literally, watch out for the water. It was the medieval version of a public safety alert. If you were half a second late dodging, congrats! You'd just become a 14th century fountain. That's why Paris was once called one of the smelliest cities on earth. People walked with their eyes on the ground, not to avoid landmines, but to dodge human bombs. The gutters ran with filth and sewage. In summer, under the heat, the whole city boiled like a toilet stew. And how did people wipe? No paper. The rich used cloth or hemp, washed it, and used it again. Commoners used straw, sticks, or simply their hands. Yes, their actual hands. Then they rinsed them with water. Archaeologists in London even dug up a medieval toilet site and found wooden sticks wrapped in cloth, with historical residue still on them. Basically, reusable toilet paper. You thought recycling was a modern idea? They had sustainable sanitation centuries ago. Even nobles weren't shy about it. Banquet halls often had small relief rooms nearby. You'd excuse yourself mid-feast, take care of business, then come back for dessert. Because back then, bodily functions weren't shameful, just natural. Which might also explain why France invented perfume. Part 2. China. Bamboo, paper, and the civilized butt. At the very same time, people in China were already exploring the art of civilized defecation. Public toilets, something Europe wouldn't see for centuries, had already appeared during the Han Dynasty. And by the Tang and Song dynasties, there was even toilet paper made specifically for wiping. In other words, Chinese people knew to clean up before leaving the toilet hundreds of years earlier. The earliest toilet paper was actually recycled waste paper, like failed calligraphy or old drafts from scholars. So yes, Li Bai or Su Shi might have literally wiped their butts with their own poetry. Somewhere in history, a masterpiece probably died beside a toilet bowl. I look up at the bright moon. This paper's pretty soft. There was also a tool called ce cho, a thin strip of bamboo. After wiping, people washed it and put it back for reuse. In public toilets, you could see dozens of bamboo sticks neatly lined up, each one silently carrying the story of its previous user. By the Ming Dynasty, China even had workshops dedicated to producing toilet paper. The wealthy used soft hemp paper, while the poor used rough grass paper. And at that time, the happiness of your butt was already a symbol of social class. Even the architecture showed refinement. Chinese toilets were usually built outside, near running water, with ventilation to keep the air fresh. Clean, airy, and odor-controlled, a sharp contrast to Europe's shit-on-the-street system. Part 3. India and the Middle East. Cleansing as an act of faith. In India and the Middle East, cleaning your butt isn't just hygiene, it's a spiritual ritual. For Muslims and Hindus, water purifies the soul. So for thousands of years, they've belonged to the washing camp. After using the toilet, you clean yourself with the left hand in water, then wash your hands again. The left hand does the dirty work. The right hand is for eating. That's where the phrase, the unclean left hand, comes from. In many Indian bathrooms, you'll see a small metal water pot called a lota. It's not decoration. It's your butt's best friend. To Indians, paper only cleans the surface. True purity comes from water. Some even mock Westerners for wiping without washing, calling it fake cleanliness. In ancient India, People also used ash, clay, or small stones to wipe. They believed earth could absorb impurity, a kind of natural exfoliation. Of course, sometimes it drew blood, but that, perhaps, was just the price of spiritual discipline. Part 4. The American Wipe, from corncobs to commercial toilet paper. After touring the East, let's head back to America, the land that invented commercial toilet paper. But before that glorious innovation, Americans had their own very organic way of wiping. In the mid-19th century, rural toilets in the US were all outdoors, called outhouses. A simple wooden shack, a hole in the ground, and a wooden plank to sit on. And as for tools, whatever you could grab. The most common one, the corn cob. After eating the corn, people saved the cob. Firm grip, great absorption. Farmers would even hang them by the door to dry. Sustainable, renewable, 100% biodegradable. Later, as printing became widespread, old newspapers became the go-to toilet paper. Americans would wipe their butts and then read the headlines, perhaps the earliest example of multitasking. Then, in 1857, Joseph Gaiety invented the first medicated toilet paper. Each sheet proudly bore his name, so after you wiped, you'd look down and see Joseph Gaiety. Congratulations, Joseph! You became the first businessman in history to be intimately connected with millions of people. But at the time, folks found it expensive and weird. Most preferred their trusty newspapers. Toilet paper only went mainstream in the early 20th century during America's household hygiene revolution. After World War I, cleanliness itself became a symbol of civilization. Part 5. The global rise of toilet paper, from awkward to essential. By the mid-20th century, toilet paper had finally become a global standard, but every country developed its own style. Americans love the endless roll: pull, wipe, repeat. Japan perfected the wash and dry system, and in many regions, people still stay loyal to the humble water pot tradition. During Japan's post-war economic boom, engineers created the world's first electric bidet toilet. It could wash, dry, deodorize, and even play background music to cover embarrassing sounds. Today's high-end models go even further. They can analyze your health data. In the near future, your toilet might politely inform you, "Spicy meal detected. Please take care of your colon." Part 6. The Smell of Civilization. The history behind our butts. From the filthy streets of medieval Europe to China's bamboo sticks, India's water pots, and America's corn cobs, the entire history of humanity has really been answering one question: how do we deal with our own dirt? The way a society handles its waste reveals its attitude toward hygiene, religion, class, and technology. Europe invented the flush system. China invented paper. India preserved its ritual of purification. Japan turned it all into automation. These aren't just bathroom habits, they're levels of civilization. So next time you wipe, don't roll your eyes. That humble sheet of toilet paper in your hand is the crystallization of thousands of years of human progress.